when you're watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Revisited. So, I think that my initial review, or I guess talking about the movie, still stands. I still think that this movie is fantastic. I think it's so emotional and it's so great. It's so man, they do such a great job with these characters. Shout out to James Gunn, able to do it to a crew of a motley crew of characters that I had no idea existed, and to create such a impactful story for all of them. That really puts all of the emotions together and makes you really feel for them and care about them. It's really interesting, and I don't know. I'm just really happy that this is a very satisfying sort of conclusion, I guess, or I guess a little bit of a wrap up of what the Guardians of the Galaxy is or has become. You know what I mean? I think that if we look at these three movies as a trilogy, it's really. I mean, obviously, you're missing a couple pieces if you throw out Infinity War and Endgame, but yeah, I kind of feel like you need to see it, the Guardians of the Galaxy, like as a full whole. You know what I'm saying? As a full like story, I guess. So you have to include Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame in there, but as just a trilogy, I mean, it's really impactful, and you sense the connection between like Peter and Gamora very well, and anyways, they do just a really great job of meshing the characters together very well, and I really like it. That I really like what they do with it, and how emotional it is, and how this whole story is based on how they love each other and care about one another, and their feelings and their decisions on like choosing to do things. You know what I mean? Because they care, because they love each other and they care about one another. Because of friendship and stuff like that. So, anyways, I want to focus more on Rocket. I feel like, man, it's so cool how across all of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and the Avengers films, he's the one that's like standing tall and pushing through. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the one who survived the blip. He's the one who goes after Peter Quill to save him from Ego. He's the one who is like helping them escape the prison so that they could get the units. You know what I'm saying? He's the one who helped them out and tried to save Quill and Gamora from the Ravagers. He's the one who connected with Yondu. He's the one who, everything, right? Like, you see that his full story is captured on in all of these movies, across all of the movies, you know what I mean? And I think it was a specific choice for Rocket to make the blip. It was a specific choice to see Rocket go through all that he had to go through. He had to first be this kind of bounty hunter, pirate kind of a guy. He had to meet Groot. He had to find friends and the Guardians of the Galaxy to like be friends with him and to unite together. You know what I'm saying? And he had to find a purpose, a reason to like be a part of the group. And then he had to lose them to understand just like how much he loved them and how much he wants them back and how can he get them back. And then this time to realize that like he has a place where he belongs now. So, somewhere that he made, something that he can make. And I think that's a really cool story arc for him, is that like he was initially so he just didn't care, you know what I mean? He was just going around doing whatever he wanted to do. There wasn't all of this. I mean, there was a kind of mystery around his backstory and like how he became such a smart raccoon and stuff. How he became like the Rocket that we know, And this one goes into depth just how much he really cares. how much he has stuffed down and kept hidden because he didn't want others to, one, to really see it, and two, because he just wants to go around on a rocket, just like doing whatever, how much of himself he held back, how much of himself he didn't want basically around, for others to see. It's hard to be that vulnerable. But when you have real people who care about you, they open up the shell, they see you for everything that you are, every little piece of yourself. They saw Rocky getting tortured. I mean, come on. That definitely unites them and makes them want to kill the High Evolutionary, It's just, man, it's difficult, It's really, really difficult to see that of all the characters that had to go through anything, he was the one that had to endure it and take it. And it's sad. It's sad to see that, maybe the ones that look like the most confident or the most like overly, the ones that come off a bit like dickish, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, they're the ones that have something to hide. They're the ones that are made that way, And I kind of like the duality of Rocket. I hope that, obviously I hope it hasn't made him soft. I mean, not completely, at least, you know what I mean? But I do hope that it's still like, I hope it does still hold him, or like is a part of his personality to still be that kind of like, that kind of attitude that he has, you know what I mean? But at the same time, mixed and paired together with like his kindness and his emotions, he's able to like become the best version of himself, the kind that's there for others the way that he would want others to be there for himself when he was just starting out, you know what I mean? So it's a good use of his big brain, his knowledge and his experience, and how smart he is to create and put together anything that's possible, And so this whole story is just a story to save him, to get him to come back. And I think in a really cool choice, they don't make it like the full story. Like, bringing him back is one part of it, but then he comes back and he's able to get sweet revenge against the High Evolutionary. He's able to finally let things come to a conclusion for him, He's able to finally like kind of able to let things go a little bit, you know what I mean? It's so interesting because even though for a majority of the movie he's kind of like passed out and we see his flashbacks, you know what I mean? He doesn't. I still feel like it's his movie, you know what I mean? It's all of the other stuff, all of Peter and Gamora and Drax and Mantis and Nebula, all of that stuff is kind of like they're just trying to get Rocket back, you know what I mean? It's like, you could have really had them do anything, and it still would have been like, obviously very emotional, really cool to see like how they all weave together and come back as a team. But it's still about Rocket, How can we save him? How can we get him back? How can we keep him from dying? And man, what better of a purpose of a story to enact change or to like force characters to do something other than saving somebody that they really care about, I think that, Rocket is, I mean, all of the characters have such a great heart to them. They all have their own difficulties, their own experiences. And I think that in the second one, we really focused on Peter's, you know, his emotional difficulties and his boundaries and his like feelings of like, man, I never had a dad, and so now he's coming back into my life. And in the first one, I guess it was his mommy issues, his feelings of like inadequacy because his mom died and he wasn't able to save her, and how he's been like turning away from things, from his feelings, I guess, or whatnot, you know? And now they're able to like actually unite together as a team. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that obviously if you follow like the thread lines of Peter and you follow the thread lines of Rocket, you can see that like they collide, you know, they clash together in a great way, in a good way. Not in a bad way. Obviously there's conflict, you know what I mean, but there's such a, it kind of feels like they had to come together, you know? You can see that because of their friendship, they're able to like, united as a team, they're able to do anything really. And throughout the movie, you see like just how much, you know, how much Rocket inspires everybody, or how much like they're all willing to go through just for one another, you know? It's really interesting. It's really, really cool to see that he's somebody that can get people to move mountains so that he can live. And it's kind of like, it's a little bit upsetting because when you see him see Lila, you know, and they have that embrace and Rocket is kind of dying or dead, you know, we see him kind of happy. We see him kind of like, hey, I want to join you guys, you know what I mean? Can we hang out together? You know what I mean? It's like he's finally able to be at some sort of peace, you know? He doesn't have to be this bounty hunter, Rocket Raccoon, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of a guy. He doesn't have to be like that anymore. He can finally be just Rocket, you know? He can just be with his friends Lila and Floor and oh my god, Teefs. You know what I mean? Like he can finally just be with his friends again, you know? But this time free, not caged. But he's still not done, you know? And that's the real thing. That's the real moment of like, damn, you know, he had something right there, you know? And how much he's kind of maybe craved or wanted that moment. It's nice to know that it's still going to be there, you know, when it comes time for him. I'm really I'm a big fan of like when people build up to something and then they actually get it, and then they're all kind of like, they just get a moment to like appreciate it, you know what I mean? It's like you build up towards something and then you finally get that whew, you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, yes, you know, and you get like a new expression, right? It's like you're cave mining, and then you finally strike gold, or you finally find some diamonds, you know what I'm saying? You're like, finally, like, it was all worth it. Like, you're excited, you're happy, you're like, it's a huge burst of emotions. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It actually happened, you know? And that's something I really like about this movie that it does, is they were building up to saving Rocket, and you don't know if they're going to do it or not. I mean, I felt like they were going to do it. I guess the trailer kind of spoiled it, but they were going to do it, but seeing their reactions to him being alive in the end is what really... It was really it was really good to see because you could feel all of them kind of have like this relief of like he's alive, he's okay, you know. When Peter saved him and they're on the call with Nebula and Drax and Mantis, they're talking and then they say what is it? They say we're on the ship, or they're talking about like, oh hey, we're back on the Bowie or whatever, and they're like, where are you guys at? And they're like, we came into the other Minecraft, the High Evolutionary spaceship, to save you guys. And they're like, no, we're fine, we're over here. And then everybody's like, oh my gosh, whatever. And then they both realize that they're both like somewhere they shouldn't be, or like somewhere that they weren't. And then Rocket's like, all right, well, at least we know everybody's okay. And then we can see that Nebula, Mantis, and Drax, they have like, and everybody's like, yeah, Rocket's okay. He's made it back. We got him. We brought him back. And then everybody has like that moment where they're like, ah, oh, thank goodness. You know what I mean? That relief of like, finally, you know, we did it. You know what I mean? But now they got another problem, you know? So stuff like that I think is really cool. I like those moments when they're able to show that they achieved one of their goals. You know what I mean? Now the next part is just getting everybody else out. And that's the fun part. And the crazy thing is that like that High Evolutionary ship just starts blowing up for like so long, but I guess it's just a bunch of small explosions, you know what I mean? But anyways, thanks to Kraglin, they're able to move nowhere to fight against the High Evolutionary ship, and they're able to save all the little kids, and then they're able to, you know, save the animals and whatnot. All very important to the story, because it goes to show that like Rocket is now allowing himself to like fully feel who he is and feel for other things, you know what I mean? Not just humans, you know, but for other animals and creatures alike. They all deserve a chance to live a free and happy life. And that's a great message, you know, to send to everybody, is that like all life is valuable and they deserve an opportunity to live, you know what I mean? It's like they shouldn't just die on that ship just because they, you know, just because they're animals. They're animals. They deserve to, you know, live a little, you know what I mean? If it were the other way around, if Rocket were on the ship, they would go to save him. But just because he has like a higher intellectual capability, they feel like, oh, he deserves to be saved. No, every one of them, defective or not, smart or not, deserve to be saved. And that's a very beautiful thing. And that's something that we all should take heed of, you know what I mean? So it was just a nice message of like protecting animals and helping animals and saving them, you know? It's all important. So then we get to see that like after all is said and done, Rocket's alive, they defeat the High Evolutionary, they save the animals, they're all on nowhere. Now the Guardians of the Galaxy decide to do a little split up, you know? Peter's finally able to go back to Earth and able to actually see and talk to his grandpa again, who's old. Damn, he's old. You know what I mean? It's crazy that he's still alive after all this time. But anyways, it's good that they finally get some sort of way to reunite, you know? And then we get to see Mantis go off to do her own thing, figure out what she wants to do, what she can do. And then we get to see Drax and Nebula take care of Nowhere, build a home that Nebula never got to have, you know? And we get to see Drax be like a father to like all of the little kids there on Nowhere and stuff. And then we get to see Rocket lead the Guardians alongside Groot. You know what I mean? He's the new captain now that Peter's going on a solo mission. Gamora goes back to the Ravagers. Nebula and Drax are on Nowhere, building a new society, a new life, you know, with as leaders of a new place of the leaders of nowhere, probably with Kraglin. Oh well, Kraglin actually stays with the Guardians. My fault. But Rocket leads the team now. He's the new captain, and yeah, it's a really cool thing to see that, like, at the end of it all, it was all building up to this, to Rocket being the leader and now guiding the new Guardians of the Galaxy, you know what I mean? And I thought it was cool to have Adam Warlock in there. Groot is gigantic, man. He really buffed out, you know what I'm saying? And that's crazy. I think that's a crazy thing that they chose, but I like it. You know what I mean? It's so completely different than the other Groot that we came to know from what's it called? From the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought that was like peak Groot form. But now we're able to see that, like, oh, there's actually another Groot form where Groot is like all buffed and strong, and that's crazy, you know, that's just as cool, you know. And then we got to see one of the High Evolutionary kids kind of, they have powers, and Cosmo the dog, all of them come together to form a new Guardians of the Galaxy team, and I don't know, I like it. I think that it ends on a very high note, you know. I think it's really cool. And so, overall, I think that this... I mean, what more can I say about it? It's deeply emotional. It's compassionate. It's fun. It has great action in it. And the best part about it is that you care about all of the characters. You care about Drax. You care about Mantis. You care about Gamora. You care about Peter. You care about Rocket. You care about Nebula. You want to see them succeed. You want to see them fight and win. And if they lose, you know it's like they shouldn't lose. You know what I mean? It's like they can do anything. And that's the cool part about it, is that they can do anything. You know? So, it's just really... This is just a good movie. You know, hands down, a great end to the trilogy of them and what they're doing, and the storytelling of telling a story of Rocket, of Peter, of Drax, Gamora, Groot, like all of it ending in this place right here, you know? And the team is not going to be what it used to be anymore, you know? So, I'm happy about that. And I think it ends well. You know, it ends in a new place, and with our characters making new choices and doing different things, better things. And yeah, I'm happy about it. So, rewatchability factor on this movie is high. There's some great moments, great scenes, and I just think it's a great movie. So, with all of that, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Revisited, when you're watching it, you're going to love it. You're going to really, really like it. And it's going to be something so, I guess, cathartic, a good conclusion, you know, to the Guardians of the Galaxy's kind of story. And they kind of tease that Star-Lord's coming back as like a solo thing, but I don't know what that'll be, but I'm excited to see, you know, what it could be or what it might be, you know, so we don't know. But until then, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.